The nights when nobody saw my tears, but heaven was listening. I was walking through the valley with a weight on my back. Had a heart full of storms and a soul full of cracks. Everybody saw the scars, nobody knew the fight. But God was writing chapters in the middle of the night. I lost some friends, lost dreams, lost pieces of me. Feel like a prisoner begging for a key. Then grace came knocking when my hope was gone. Turned my midnight crying into a brand new dawn. I was broken, I was running, I was hiding from the truth. But the hands that made the heavens, well, the hands that pulled me through. He found me when I was falling, he called me when I was lost. He paid the price on the mountain, he carried my heavy cross. Now every scar has a story, every wound has a reason why. I was buried under my battles, but my faith taught me how to rise. Yeah, I came from the dirt with a doubt, tried to grow, had pain in my chest, but I learned how to hope. They counted me out, put a line through my name, but God had a plan they could never erase. I was fighting my fears in the back of my mind, looking for answers I couldn't find. Lost in the dark with a heart full of questions, and heaven replied with a divine connection. I got scars, but I wear them like medals. Walk through fire, but I never settle. Enemy talking, but I know the truth the same. But to save me is saving you. I was low, now I'm lifted. I was blind, now I'm gifted. Had chains on my soul, now they're broken. Every prayer was a seed that was planted and spoken. No weapon formed against me could destroy what was chosen. My tears were a river, but my faith kept rolling. I wasn't forgotten when the door stayed closed. Sometimes God builds you when nobody He knows. Found me when I was falling, he called me when I was lost. He paid the price on the mountain, he carried my heavy cross. Now every scar has a story, every wound has a reason why. I was buried under my battles, but my faith taught me how to rise. If you're tired, keep walking. If you're hurting, keep praying. The storm doesn't mean he's absent. Sometimes he's making a way. The same hand that created oceans can rebuild your broken heart. The same voice that spoke creation can give you a brand new start. Look, I was a page full of problems, he wrote a masterpiece. A soul full of questions, he gave me the peace. I had nothing but ashes, he gave me a flame. I lost my direction, he remembered my name. I don't walk because life never gets harder. I walk because I know who carries the armor. Faith isn't pretending that pain disappears. So tell every mountain that stands in your way, there is power in the words that you choose to say. From the valley to the victory, from the night to the light, God was beside me the whole entire fight. He found me when I was falling, he called me when I was lost. He paid the price on the mountain, he carried my heavy cross. Now every scar has a story, every tear became a sign. I was broken by the world, but I was rebuilt by divine. My story was never about how far I fell, it was about who lifted me. I found my faith where the silence was loud, and I lost my way, and I lost my crowd. Had a room full of people, but nobody knew the war I was fighting just to make it through. I had dreams in the coffin, hope in the grave, prayers on my lips, but fear in my veins. I asked God for answers, he gave me a process. I wanted a shortcut, he gave me a promise. I'm chasing applause from people who changed, building my house on opinions and name. Then the storm came down and the walls got tested. Everything fake failed, everything real was left standing. Funny how the world calls it losing, when God is removing what was never for you. Funny how they celebrate your falling, not knowing heaven was a bit in your foundation. I thought the wilderness meant I was forgotten, until the light of such where miracles happen. Moses had a desert before he saw the ocean. David had a king before he carried the kingdom. I stopped asking why the door was closing, when I realized God was changing my direction. I stopped fearing what I was losing, when I discovered what he was protecting. You can't bury what God has breathed on, you can't silence a voice he called, you can't break a soul that's been rebuilt by the hands that created it all. I walked on eyes that nobody witnessed, carry pain that
nobody knew. But every road that was leading nowhere was leading me closer to you.
Had a seat at tables where love came with conditions. Smiles full of secrets, with blessings with restrictions. They love my success, but ignore my scars. Love the light, but never asked about the dark. Calling rejection was sometimes protection. Closed doors were divine redirection. What I call a setback was heaven set up. God was writing chapters I hadn't read yet. I was Joseph in a pit with a dream in my chest, looking at the bottom thinking, this is my debt. For the same hands that allowed the descent, with the same hands preparing my sin. I was David with a stone and a giant in sight. Small in the world, but chosen in his eyes. They measured my size, God measured my spirit. They heard my doubt, heaven heard my commitment. I got a testimony nobody can fake. Built from the pressure, forced by the weight. I don't need revenge, I don't need a crown. God already lifted me from the ground and threw dirt on my name. Tried covering my story, forgot that the grave was the birthplace of glory. The stone rolled away the impossible move. Death lost the battle when heaven approved. I was lost but not abandoned, delayed but not denied, broken but still breathing, because mercy kept me alive.
They saw a prisoner, God saw a preacher. They saw failure, God saw a feature. They saw the ashes, God saw the fire. They saw the ending, God saw the empire. You can't bury what God has breathed on. You can't silence a voice He called. You can't break a soul that's been rebuilt by the hands that created it all. I walk the night and nobody witnessed, carry pain and nobody knew. But every road that was leading nowhere was leading me closer to you. The cross looked like a tragedy until resurrection changed the meaning. The grave looked like the final chapter until heaven started speaking. Sometimes God hides the greatest victories behind the hardest seasons, because a seed has to disappear before the world can see it breathing.
Listen, I am not lucky, I am loved, I am not perfect, I am covered, I am not standing cause I never fail. I'm standing because heaven broke the chains of hell. My past has a voice but it doesn't have power. My fear had a throne but it lost its power. The enemy wrote accusations on paper. God signed my future with the blood of the Savior.
I went from why me to use me, from save me to send me, because I found out pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation, the valley wasn't rejection, it was elevation. So when you see me walking, know I remember the ground. I remember the nights when nobody was around. And if God brought me out, He can bring you to the same grace that found me is reaching for you. You can't bury what God has breathed on. You can't silence a voice He called. You can't break a soul that's been rebuilt by the hands that created it all. Every scar has a language, every tear has a truth. My whole life is a testimony, living makes all things.
There was dust on my boots, heavy weight in my chest. I was walking through a season where nothing felt blessed. Every step was a question I couldn't explain, like I was breathing but drowning inside of the pain. I was talking to silence like it knew my name, like heaven went quiet but the feeling remained. Had a storm in my thoughts, had a war in my skin, trying to act like I wasn't breaking within. I was smiling in public, collapsing at night, trying to find direction in absence of light. Every prayer felt like a hidden return, every lesson felt like something never learned, but I didn't see it then, what was forming inside. Every breakdown was a place where I learned how to rise. I thought I was buried, forgotten, erased, but pressure was carving the strength in my faith. I called it destruction, He called it design. I called it confusion, He called it a line. I saw an ending, He saw a sign. I saw lost time, He peace all divine. You were there when I couldn't stand, when I lost control of the plan, when I had nothing left to defend. You were the hand that wouldn't end. I thought I was falling out of grace, but you were rewriting my place. Now every scar that I wear inside is proof I was never denied.
Yeah, I was living in pressure with cracks in my mind, trying to escape what I couldn't define. Too many voices, too much noise in my head, too many nights where I wished I was dead. But even in chaos, there was order and scene. Every broken moment was part of a scene. People saw failure, I saw delay. God saw a path I was running away. I was Joseph in chambers, still holding a dream. I was David alone with no in between. I was Moses confused in the desert of fear, not knowing deliverance was already near. Every story I live had a pattern of grace. Even my losses had purpose in place. They counted me out, but I wasn't done. God was still working when I thought I had none. I don't need revenge for the ones who left. I don't need applause for the pain I kept, but the same ones who watched me fall will see grace rebuild it all. I lost control, but I found direction. Lost my pride, gained correction. I chased escape, got restoration. I wanted relief, got transformation. What I thought was lost was instruction. What I thought was death was production. Pressure didn't break me, it refined. Every scar was a rewrite of my design.
When I couldn't stand, when I lost control of the plan, when I had nothing left to defend, you were the hand that wouldn't end. I thought I was falling out of grace, but you were rewriting my place. Now every scar that I wear inside is proof I was never denied. For the ones in the dark still fighting their mind, for the ones who feel like they're running out of time, don't confuse the silence with being alone. There's a voice that still leads you home. The same God that holds the galaxies wide holds every tear you tried to hide. Even when everything feels undone, you're still seen by the one.
Listen, I was a broken prayer that never stopped rising, a hidden war that looked like surviving. But heaven don't miss what the world ignores. Grace builds futures behind closed doors. I came from pressure that tried to erase me, but pressure only learned how to shape me. Every fall was a lesson in height. Every night was a setup for light. I don't stand here because I'm strong, I stand here because grace carried me long. And if you're in the fire, you're barely alive. That's what God teaches you how to survive.
Yeah, you were there when I couldn't stand, when I lost control of the plan, when I had nothing left to defend. You were the hand that wouldn't end. I thought I was falling out of grace, but you were rewriting my place. Now every scar that I wear inside is proof I was never denied. Yeah. I was never denied. There was dust in my boots and a storm in my chest, walking down a road with a heart needing rest. Sunset on my shoulders, shadows on my face, carrying old memories I couldn't erase. I talked to God quietly under that sky, asking why some prayers feel like they die. Had dreams in my hands, but they slipped through my fingers. Had wounds in my soul that kept getting bigger. Nobody saw the battles behind my eyes. Nobody heard the prayers in the middle of the night. I learned how to smile while my heart was breaking, learned how to stand when my faith was shaking. I thought I was lost on a road with no end, but God was closer than my closest friend. I was searching for answers, searching for a sign, but heaven was working between every line. I called it a setback, you called it a setup, I called it a dead end, you called it a lesson. I saw a broken road, you saw a direction. You were rebuilding every broken part. You were there when nobody stayed. You were there when my hope faded away, when I had empty hands and a heavy heart. You were rebuilding every broken part. I thought I was walking alone in the night, but your hand was holding mine the whole time. Now I know every tear that I cried was watering something you kept alive.
Yeah, I had a pocket full of problems and a head full of questions, trying to find peace in a world full of pressure. People love the picture but don't know the painter. They see the crown but never saw the danger.
I had friends at the table with a knife and a smile. Had people disappear when I walked through the trial. But I learned real quickly when the crowd went away. God was still speaking when nobody stayed. I was digging through dirt, thinking I was defeated. Didn't know I was planted, didn't know I was needed. They threw my name down like it wasn't worth saving. Forgot that a seed has to die before breaking. I was a nobody walking with nothing to prove. And I found out heaven already knew. Before I had a dream, before I had a vision, God had my name written inside his decision. I don't need revenge, I don't need applause, I don't need the world to understand my scars. Because the same people who laughed at the fall will watch God reveal what they thought was gone. I was David with a stone and a giant in front. Had fear in my heart but faith in the hunt. I was Moses in the desert looking for a way, not knowing the ocean was waiting that day. I was Joseph in the prison, forgotten and alone, but God was preparing a place called home. They saw my chains, he saw my calling. They saw me falling, he saw me rising. I lost some things that I thought I needed, found something greater when I started believing. Closed doors showed me where not to stand. Lost my plans, found his hands. I was chasing control, he was teaching surrender. I wanted a moment, he built me forever. I wanted the answer, he gave me the journey. I wanted the victory, he gave me the mercy. You were there when nobody stayed. You were there when my hope faded away. When I had empty hands and a heavy heart, you were rebuilding every broken part. I thought I was walking alone in the night, but your hand was holding mine the whole time. Now I know every tear that I cried was watering something you kept alive. For the ones on the road with nowhere to go, for the hearts carrying weight nobody knows, for the ones who are tired but still choose to pray. God is closer than the breath that you take. The same voice that created the stars can heal the deepest parts of your heart. The same God who moved mountains before is standing beside you at your door. Listen, I'm a chapter they wanted to erase, a story they judge by the pain on my face. But God doesn't measure what people see, he measures the heart underneath. I came from the valley but I learned how to sing. I lost my comfort but found my king. The storm didn't stop me, it shaped my direction. The pressure didn't break me, it built my foundation. Every tear was a letter, every scar was a message. Every night I survived was a lesson in blessings. I don't stand here because I never failed, I stand here because heaven broke every chain of hell. My past has a voice but it doesn't have power. God was planning me during my darkest hours. So if you're walking that lonely road and you feel like carrying the world alone, remember this truth when the darkness starts. The same God who found me can find your heart. You were there when nobody stayed. You were there when my hope faded away. When I had empty hands and a heavy heart, you were rebuilding every broken part. I thought I was walking alone in the night, but your hand was holding mine the whole time. Now I know every tear that I cried was watering something you kept alive. There was rain on my shoulders and dust in my breath, walking through seasons that felt like death. The road had no mercy, it just kept going, and I was pretending I knew where I was going. I talked to God and a voice almost gone, like hope was something I couldn't hold on. Every dream I buried started to call my name, like even my silence was part of the pain. Nobody noticed the weight that I carried, nobody saw how my joy got buried. I learned how to stand while I was breaking apart, learned how to smile with a shattered heart. I thought I was lost where the night never ends, but somehow the darkness became my friend. I was asking for light, but I couldn't see that the silence was building what I one day be. I called it an ending, he called it a doorway. I called it destruction, he called it the right way. I saw nothing
saw the display. You were there when I had no voice to pray. You were there when the hope slipped away. When I was empty and barely alive, you were the reason I survived. I thought I was drowning when no one could see, but you were the hand that was holding me. Now every scar that I carry inside is proof that I never died.
I was walking through pressure with cracks in my mind, trying to find peace I could never define. The world looked normal, but I was not. I was doing battles nobody called. People around me, but still alone. Surrounded by faces, but feeling unknown. They left when the fire got too intense, but pain revealed it was real in my fence. I was buried in thoughts I couldn't escape. Every mistake felt like part of my fate, but what I called failure was strategy. What I called ended was prophecy. I was David, but not in the light. I was David before he learned to fight. I was Joseph before the throne, forgotten, unseen, left alone. I was Moses before the sea split wide, questioning everything I had inside, but every delay had a deeper plan. God was shaping a broken man. I don't need revenge for what they did. I don't need applause for what I live, because the same ones who watch me fall will see grace, rebuild it all. I let go of controlling it, broke my pride. Felt something real I couldn't hide. Lost what I wanted, gained what was true. What I lost was saving me too. I stopped chasing what I couldn't hold. Found peace in letting the story unfold. I wanted escape, he gave me endurance. I wanted relief, he gave me assurance.
You were there when I had no voice to pray. You were there when the hope slipped away. When I was empty and barely alive, you were the reason I survived. I thought I was drowning where no one could see, but you were the hand that was holding me. Now every scar that I carry inside is proof that I never died. For the ones still fighting inside their head, for the ones who wish they were already dead, don't mistake the silence for being alone. There's a presence that follows you home. The same God that holds the sky in place knows every tear on your face. And even when everything feels undone, you are not forgotten by any of us.
I was a story nobody believed, a broken chapter nobody retrieved, but heaven writes where humans erase, and grace doesn't care about your past or your face. I came from places where hope doesn't stay, where people disappear when life turns gray, but I learned in the middle of all the pain that lost can still carry your name. Every tear was building a way, every night was shaping the day. I don't stand here because I'm strong, I stand here because I was carried along. So if you're walking through fire and fear, and it feels like nobody's near, remember this: when everything breaks, you're still breathing, so grace is still here.
You were there when I had no voice to pray. You were there when the hope slipped away. When I was empty and barely alive, you were the reason I survived. I thought I was drowning where no one could see, but you were the hand that was holding me. Now every scar that I carry inside is proof that I never died. I was carrying a mountain nobody could see, smiling in the crowd while the storm lived in me. Had a heart full of scars, had a soul full of questions, searching for hope in the middle of my depression. I was running from pain that I'm buried inside, hiding my tears, trying to swallow my pride. Everybody knew my name, nobody knew my battle. Saw them broken pieces, never heard the rattle. I was standing in the valley with my hands to the sky, asking God why the strongest still cry. Then I learned in the darkness when I couldn't see, the deepest roots growing to the strongest trees. Every scar became a lesson, every loss became a seed. Every moment I was broken was a moment he was leading me. He was there when the fire came, standing with me through the pouring rain. When I thought I was finished, he was calling my name. I was falling, I was fading, but his love never changed. I walked through the darkness and I came out raised. Now I know every battle
the crowd. Had doubts in my head, had weight on my chest. Had 1,000 voices telling me quit and rest. But I found a reason stronger than fear. A voice from heaven saying I'm still here. They looked at my past and predicted my ending. God looked at my heart and started rebuilding. I was a broken rhythm, searching for a melody. Lost in the world, but grace came and rescued me. Had chains on my mind, storms in my vision. Then mercy arrived with a new definition. I don't have a perfect story, I have proof of redemption. Every scar on my body is a sign, confession. The enemy tried, but he couldn't defeat me, because the hands of the Father were holding beneath me. I was low, but I learned how to climb. Lost my way, but it restored my mind. They threw dirt on my dreams, tried covering my light. Forgot the seeds grow when they're buried from sight. They said
I was finished, I said I was falling. They saw the rain, God was building the moment. They saw my weakness, He saw my potential. They saw my ending, He saw something essential. I walked through the fire, but fire refined me. I walked through the darkness, but darkness designed me. No weapon could break what heaven created. No voice could erase what God had narrated. My past is a chapter, it isn't my name. My scars are reminders I survived every flame. He was there when the fire came, standing with me through the pouring rain. When I thought I was finished, He was calling my name. I was falling, I was fading, but His love never changed. I walked through the darkness and I came out raised. Now I know every battle had a purpose in my life, because the God who saved my soul was preparing me to rise.
For every heart that feels forgotten, every soul that lost the fight. Remember, mountains moving, oceans part when God brings a light. The same God who made creation can rebuild a broken heart. I was a prisoner of my pain, now I'm walking in freedom. I was searching for a reason, now I know that I need Him. I was drowning in my doubts, couldn't breathe in the pressure. Then He showed me my scars were a part of the treasure. I fought my reflection, fought my mistakes, fought every memory that kept me awake. But mercy came running faster than my failures. Grace built the bridge where I saw only barriers. I lost some battles, but I won my purpose. I went through the dirt, but I came back worth it. They counted my losses, God counted my growth. They saw impossible, He saw a road. I am not my yesterday, I am not my shame. I am not the voice that tried to kill my faith. I am proof that broken things can become beautiful. Proof that the impossible can become possible.
He was there when the fire came, standing with me through the pouring rain. When I thought I was finished, He was calling my name. Every scar tells a story, every tear had a reason. The God who held me in the storm was preparing my